Welcome back. Super delighted to have my dear friend and colleague, Randall Engelman from Boston and Focus Real Estate in the house today. Hello, Randall.
Hey, Barry. What a nice surprise to be in front of the video. I didn't realize, I thought I was getting away from the video camera for a few days down here in Florida.
Really, Mary?
The reason you're here is because you have a second home.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
But which we'll talk about that in a minute. But first of all, let's talk about Boston and your market. And, what does that look like and what's happening in your market as we speak?
City of Boston and the surrounding neighborhoods are very interesting because what we're really seeing is just a total slowdown and lower amounts of inventory. I can't even believe that we're going to use the words lower inventory than last year yet again, because it seems like every year we're talking about 25 and 30% lower inventory. And when we talk about lower inventory, we're talking about lower number of sales, like lower number of house sales and lower number of available units for sale.
Sure.
So that's what we're looking at. Again, of course, prices are up, and that's keeping things moving on that end. But the number of units is down, mostly because sellers don't want to sell. Homeowners don't want to sell.
Yeah.
And, they're holding on to that 2.5%, 3% mortgage rate. I mean, that's hard to give up, right? So really where the benefit of the market for us right now is a lot of cash. Mm-hmm. So people that have cash have the availability or the ability to make those decisions. But yeah, I mean, we're looking at low inventory, but we're having strong buyer demand.
Yeah.
One of the agents on our team was in a multiple offer situation of, I think there was 11 offers.
Holy mackerel.
Earlier this week, price going almost $100,000 over the list price. So, it's still happening out there. It's just very few sellers willing to step up.
That is crazy. Now, Boston's a big place. And where specifically do you call home in Boston?
Well, we have our first and primary office is in a little neighborhood in the city of Boston. So we're in the confines of the city of Boston in Jamaica Plain. Okay. So that's where we have our primary residence, and that's where our first office is. And so many of our clients are moving into and around the different markets around Boston, mostly Newton. So we decided we were growing in a capacity where we needed just more space for our staff and team to be. So we opened a second office in Newton, which is only about 5 miles from our first office, but really does serve a completely different community, different housing type. The whole thing. But we were noticing that our clients were moving to and from those locations. Okay. A lot of empty nesters coming back to the city after sending their kids to college. And then, through COVID, things have changed with the schools. So now we're seeing a lot of people deciding to make that jump and head out to the burbs for the school systems.
I love that. I think you said the high school that they just put in Newton. How much did they spend?
A few years ago, for one of the high schools, there's two in Newton, they spent $400 million to put a high school in. So it's one of the best school systems in the country. So that's a very strong reason for people to be there, really, because their education is so strong.
By the way, that's a mic drop. $400 million for a high school.
For a high school, yeah.
But at the end of the day, that's why people are going, because there's probably a lot of cool things that are offered to those students, and different education to get them to college. You said it's one of the strongest in the country.
Indeed.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about, who you serve, about your market, but now tell me about why you chose to have a second home in Florida.
It kind of almost, I hate to say it, I've used this before. It almost chose us. We came down to visit a friend.
Yeah.
And, we're really of the same club that most of the Northeasterners are, the Florida Haters Club, right? I mean, Florida, it has that thing about that stigma in the Northeast.
Yeah.
And everybody likes to come down because it's warm. But what we did was we came down and discovered a totally different side of Florida.
Yeah.
A side that has a little bit of an antique feel to it, some nice history, some really nice draw, and honestly, quite a bit more culture and more to do than just go into Disney World. So really giving it a second chance and discovering it for ourselves, and really just bloody tired of being in the Boston winters for 30 years. So that was a nice surprise to find. So we've been really having a good time. And one of the nice things is having these relationships with other people that we can, because we know we're not the only ones making this discovery, that we can now have, or we have such a good community of agents to refer people to, and I'll know that they're in really good hands when we're referring them out. So I know exactly who you're going to be working with and the quality of the representation you're going to get when you get there. I mean, that's super important.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, you bring up a good point because, if you're looking to buy or sell anywhere in the country or the world for that matter, Randall and I have a very great group of folks that are top agents throughout the country in different brokerages that we can put you in touch with, because you really want to have that person, or whether you're selling, did I mention that? You really need that person that's educated, because it's so mind-blowing as to the lack of abilities that some agents have these days. They got their license, they really don't do much with it. They don't really know. And it's kind of like those that do the business is really like 20-30%. And those that don't do the business is the other 70%. So we'd love to put you in touch. If you're looking to buy or sell in Boston area, I have a great guy that you'll want to be in touch with. Again, I'm Mary Bartos of the Bartos Group of Premier Plus Realty. And we look forward to seeing you here in Paradise.